EMP gun, right? The electromagnetic pulse gun, right? All electronics will fail.
Electronic bomb, electronic gun.
So you should learn how to use archery, right?
Right.
Focus, right?
Archery, hunting,
so
this kind of.
Yeah, different archery because guns are, be automatic guns, right?
But it's to be kind of like the end of the world.
End of the world.
End of the world paradigm. The culture, which is very popular in America.
Yeah. Armageddon. Doomsday.
Yeah, Doomsday.
Dystopia.
And they were digging the reason for they can live in that.
Yeah.
It's kind of paranoid.
Ready? Okay, Hanif is ready. Okay, all right, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum, good morning, everyone. What is it? Today is a very short notice, but because this has been a very short, this has been a very packed week, given that we have a lot of holidays in Malaysia. Not that I'm complaining, but it's actually a good thing.
That's good.
More religion, more holidays. Right? That's a good benefit. That's why we need more religion.
Yeah.
You want to introduce new religion to Malaysia? We can do that. And the good thing about the religion, the Hinduism, Deepavali, it's not a celebration for all Hindus, by the way.
Yeah.
Because certain they pray to different gods. But thank God they have different gods because then we can have different holidays. So Thaipusam is a different god. Deepavali is a different god. We have different other Hindu celebrations. So because of the short notice and thank you all for attending and being present today. So today we actually, I have requested that there are 3 presentations from another Mr. Bustami, and then Yudin, who is now preparing his slides. Kaila as well. I hope Kaila is in, if he wants to, if he can. Kaila has, how are you, Kaila? How are you? Okay, we get Kaila is not feeling too well today, so yeah. Okay. So we can schedule another time for you then, yeah? So if I also ask Samir to, who's Waiho?
Brazil.
Oh, right here, okay. You change your name.
No. It's automatically.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Waiho is China.
Yeah, Chinese friend.
Yes, good. I also requested Samir to be online as well, but Samir is not probably sleeping because he's in. Hopefully he can make it. If not, we will continue with 3 or 2 presentations. Okay, Faizal, you ready? You have your slide now. Okay. Bismillah, go ahead. Floor is yours. Can see the slide? Okay, you just next, then we will move the slide to the next one. Our experience last time, when last time Muzaki came back and he made his presentation, and there was a delay of, I don't know, 1 day or whatever between his clicking and the slide appearing on the screen. So for us, to ensure smoothness in presentation, then you control, but you control when the loud and clear, loud and clear. Loud and clear. Yeah, yeah, right, right. Okay, you can go for 30 minutes and then we will adjust accordingly then. Yes, yeah? Yeah. It's up. We started at 9:52. We started at 9:52. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exceeded time, basically almost 40 minutes now. Go ahead. Okay, okay. So that was, according to me, this 42 minutes. Started at 9:52, now 10:34. So that's a big part of the work that needs to be done is to be more concise in the presentation that must be worked out. Let me just start somewhere. Because I think let me take note of the points I want to raise. Um, the first, at the beginning of the presentation, you want to note that this is a research finding, research progress presentation. So a lot more of the presentation will be on the findings and analysis of the findings. So we want to show the, the first few slides on research objective, problem statement, the intro, keep it to 3 or 4 slides. Right? Now, shall we go back to the first slide? First slide. Okay. So, one of the I'll go to the major stuff, okay, major revisions that need to be done here before the presentation to the committee is to present the data, right? Present the data. So, the next slide, and the next slide. Okay. Okay, so you have the social philosophy. Good that you explain the social philosophy. Okay. It's good to explain a brief explanation of what social philosophy is. That's good. Now, you probably spent a bit too long on that might be interesting. So you want to make that part more concise, right? And turn this into a slide. So you have an intro slide, introduction slide. So introduction slide, what should be in the introduction slide? So the Saint Idris and the social philosophy part can be under introduction. Can put together with the Malaysian note if you want to. One slide, 3 minutes. Think about it that way, right? And remember, you're focusing more on the endings research. So that needs to be clear. That would be the first comment. So to note to the committee, to the audience that this is findings. So sometimes the evaluators or the assessors might forget that it's a findings presentation. So you have to say that you spend more time. So that is the second point is to make this more concise. The intro of social philosophy, I might be interested to spend a lot of time on this one. Remember, general rule of thumb, one slide, 3 minutes. General rule of thumb. You can use that as a guide, plus minus at the time. That's a general guide. So if you are talking about 20 to 30 minutes, you are talking about between 8 to 10 slides. Now, problem statement. The problem statement should be one slide, but it's not to be completed or congested with other parts of the slide. So, do follow the convention. Problem statement should be one slide. So, and the problem statement is a study, and that is a weird thing to put. What is studied there? Elaborate. What is studied? What is it? You can elaborate study. What do you mean by study? So Even now, I forgot what you said. Study. So you want to use certain phrases to explain what. I think study is not a bullet point. You got to elaborate on the problem statement. What is it? So have a bullet point and then we have elaboration. So gap, we have here social entities be saved by risk, TMA leadership model. So that doesn't doesn't communicate the gap. So what is the gap? So the gap is usually a theoretical conceptual gap or perhaps theoretical gap. So be clear. So what is it that has not been studied before? What is it that is? So it's a problem statement, right? We will problematize it academically, problematize it. So we are not problematizing it as a social problem, we're problematizing it as an academic problem. What does it mean? It means that there's a gap in knowledge. So the knowledge can be theoretical knowledge, conceptual knowledge, textual knowledge. So we're not saying that there's a problem with cancer right now and we haven't found a cancer cure yet. That is not a problem statement. But you can say that all the cancer cures are now focusing on the ears, nose, mouth, and teeth. No one has studied the stomach yet. So that is the problem. I think you get what I mean. Right? So what is the knowledge gap? So when we say here, we are referring to knowledge gap. What has not been studied yet? So that is the part that you need to highlight the problem statement. So it can be a theoretical gap, it can be a conceptual gap. So in this case, it can also be empirical gap. What has not been studied in the literature yet. So that is an important distinction. Yeah? So we're not highlighting a social problem, but we're highlighting the knowledge. Although the knowledge problem is usually about some social thing or some social reality. So it can be a social problem. So problem statement, take note, should be one slide for example, so that it is clear. Scope here, I forgot what was the scope about now, what is it? What they say about the scope again? What? Huh. Okay. So scope can so the scope of research usually would mean the space that you're studying. What is the space you're studying? It can be historical scope, it can be scope of materials that you're studying, it can be topical scope. So you want to be clear what scope you're talking. So here, if you're talking about the sources of data, that will fall under research methodology rather than scope. But maybe I misunderstood, I'm not sure. But if you're talking about scope of research, it usually the scope is between what year to what year, and that's the scope. Or the scope is, I'm studying just Malaysia, that's the scope. Or I'm studying only the thoughts of of whatever you're studying, not the behaviors, or I'm studying so there is the space of the research. So that is the scope, right? Whereas if you're referring to the sources of data, that should fall under research methodology. Sources of data fall under research methodology. So the sources of data in other research can be informants, right? Or some like Chang is studying, Chang is studying museum, collected museums, and samples, that the sampling, basically the sample, what sample are you taking as your so if you're referring to the document or the literature that you're using uh, to study, to analyze, to use as data, that should be under research methodology. Okay, so be clear about the scope there. You're talking about the sample, the resources of data, or the scope of study. That should have clarity there. I think when you mentioned the 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 kitab is not is that falls under research methodology because that is the sources of data you're getting. Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Uh, Scope is, as I noted, scope can be temporal scope, which means time. Yeah? I'm studying apa nama Imam Shafi'i, the early Imam Shafi'i, not the later Imam Shafi'i. That's a scope. You got that one, Mazam? Because the early, but scope can be based on time. Based on time. Okay. All right. All right. I repeat. I repeat. I repeat. What do you? Sure. What do you? Yeah. Okay. Oh, you cannot hear me. Okay. Hanif, Rajid is coming in also. The Rajid. Rajid is confused Rajid and Hanif. Oh, you cannot hear me lagi. Can you hear me now? Oh, okay. Quality audio not good. Okay. Focus. Alright. Whenever you cannot hear, you tell me. Okay. Now can you hear me? That okay. Whenever it's not clear, you just mention to me. Now, scope, I'll give you an example. The scope I'm studying is the early Imam Shafi'i, not the later. The example. Imam Shafi'i. Imam Shafi'i had evolution of his thought, right? Imam Shafi'i, there's an evolution to his thought, right? Yeah. So example, and I'll give you another example. My scope of study is the Mecca years of Prophet Muhammad. And that's a scope of study. The Mecca year, the Mecca of the Prophet was in Mecca and Prophet was in Madinah, right? Right. So example of a scope. What is this? Let's echo then. Let's echo now. Example. I'm studying Prophet Muhammad's thoughts and hadith during the Mecca years. That's a scope. Okay. I'm not studying Madinah years of Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad. That's a scope, right? That's a scope. So, okay. So, scope is not the sources of data. Scope is the space. Yeah, 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 Are we okay?
Yeah.
So it's the space of research, not the sources of data, right? The space of your research. The space can be based on time, the space can be based on geography, right? The space can be cyberspace, right? Not quite sources of data, right? Okay, I think you get that one right. So scope can be between what year to what year, and that's a scope. Or the the I'm collecting data in Kuala Lumpur. That's a scope, right? Okay. So in the context of hermeneutics, the sources of data is not the scope. The sources of data is not. Okay. So if not clear, this point is remove the word scope. Okay. Right. Okay. So if you're saying you're quoting just now some a kitab in the magnum opus of Imam of Said Ahmad bin Idris, that would be the source data, the sample that you're taking for your hermeneutics analysis. So that falls under research methodology. So it should be under the slide called research methodology. Okay. So the slide right now, you want to improve the slide, Mariza. So there's one slide called introduction, and then there's another slide called problem statement. There's another slide called research methodology, right? Okay. So my feedback is now about problem statement. You put a bullet point study that doesn't say much, so you got to clarify what you want to say. The other thing is that about the gap is now, right? The gap, there should be some research gap which often refers to knowledge that does not exist or knowledge that's out there that has not been, cannot explain what research on. Okay, so now we move to research methodology. So, research methodology, you want to explain more on the hermeneutics, you have to explain more on the polysemy. Why you choose hermeneutics and what is hermeneutics? Why you choose polysemy and what is polysemy? So under research methodology, you will have those explanations. And then under research methodology, you have sources of data. What is the sources of data you have? So the sample that you're using to study tariqah, what is the source of the data? And basically also the justification to use the sources of data. Wow. Yeah. So your research methodology should be one slide itself. All right. Okay. Now move on to the next slide. Okay. So the research questions and research objectives should be together with. You can put together as a separate slide right after research methodology, or sorry, right before research methodology, right? So it should not be before research methodology. So this is your slide. Okay? So there should be a slide before research methodology. Okay. Next, we might come back to this one later on. Oh, by the way, it's not what are, it should be what is. What is the ontological social philosophy? What is social ontological philosophy? Social ontological philosophy of the enemy. Right? What is the social ontological philosophy? Yeah. Do you want to add that to avoid manufactured risk vis-a-vis self, family, organization, community? Not sure. We can revert to the research objective again, or research question again, as it is, because I want to focus more on the findings. Can, okay, now the findings. Yeah, okay. It's good that you enumerate, that you list it down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. That's actually very helpful. So there's clarity. There's 9 groups of findings. 9 groups of findings. Now, what you want to do is to have clarity on how you describe what is best. The findings cannot be best, or what is the findings? The findings. For example of findings, ontological comprehensiveness. That should be, because you describe best here. You're making an editorial comment of the tariqah being the best because it's comprehensive. Right? So the you want to show that one of the ontological significance, ontological aspect of the study guide is its comprehensiveness. So it's not best, it's comprehensiveness, right? Uh, right. So what is now? Elaborate. Do not just have one word. Elaborate on the findings. So now this is where you might want to rethink of how you want to present your findings. Yeah, how you want to present your findings. You have to think about how you want to present your findings, because here we have concluded the findings. You're making, the best. Here we want to replace the word best with another word. I suggest comprehensiveness, if that's what you're describing, right? Ontological comprehensiveness. So you arrive at the conclusion of analysis of the findings, which is ontological comprehensiveness. What you want to present your findings is data and then analysis of the data and analysis of the data. So what is an example? You want to give some example of the comprehensiveness of Tariqah Muhammadiyah. Right? You give some example, right? Right? Yeah. Okay. That is the that's the conclusion you arrive at, right? That's analysis. That's why you must master the methodology, Aranza. You must master methodology because you are using hermeneutics. How are you using hermeneutics? Here you got to present the data. Example of comprehensiveness. What is the example of comprehensive from the data? Right? The doa is the litany that shows it's comprehensive. Right? Example, something like that. So you got to present the data and then the analysis of the data. You know what I'm saying there? So what is the data? I'm asking you now. What is the data? Um, All right. Okay. Okay, let's go back to the methodology, Reza. Let's go back. Uh, the sources of your data, what is the sources of your data? Okay, so you in that kitab, there's hadith, there's a description of that. There's a description of that, right? Description of this conversation between Prophet Muhammad. This is like the Wali Songo story, right? It is like, mystical, but mystic. There's a Sufi mystics, by the way. So take that part where in the book that talks about the conversation between Prophet Muhammad and Prophet Khidir, and Sidi Ahmad bin Idris, something like that. Give that quote and then interpret the quote. You come to some conclusion to the quote. So now you should be the expert hermeneutics to show the hermeneutics way of analysis of Mizar. You know what I mean? You got to present the hermeneutics analysis. Yeah, yeah, but that will be my word. But you can take that word if you want to. But here you want to show the hermeneutics at work. Right? We cannot say, oh, I'm using hermeneutics and suddenly I just do my own thing. You cannot do that. You got to show, this process of uh, hermeneutics analysis. Show it. You're prescribing to one, and then okay. So in your presentation of findings, you show okay. So I'm doing a hermeneutics analysis. This is what Prophet Muhammad. This is in the literature, because hermeneutics is the context of interpreting the text, right? Interpreting the holy scriptures, right? So this is the holy scriptures, and this is my outcome of analysis, right? Using the terminology, using the methods of hermeneutics. You got one thing, okay? So now, and you want to do that for your findings. So there's a findings and there's an analysis of the findings. You can combine both of them, it's fine. As long as hermeneutics allow that, right? I think hermeneutics allow that. But I told you from the beginning, I'm not the, I don't study hermeneutics, so you got to show that you are well versed in hermeneutics. So your findings and analysis come together. So, for instance, in phenomenology, we have first order construct, second order construct. It's more or less like hermeneutics. First order construct is everyday language, the language of the people, basically. Second order construct is the language of the experts after summarizing, synthesizing the language of the people, they come up with their own description. So that is phenomenology of deductive research. But here uh, you got to show how an example of the analysis. Okay? So you say prophets. This is actually because hermeneutics is the study of scriptures mainly. So you show the scriptures and you show the relevant scriptures that lead to your conclusion or your deduction that the ontological comprehensiveness. Right? So do that. So you want to do that we are talking about presentation in your committee presentation, right? So you have 9 sets of findings here. You do not need to do all yet for the presentation. You can take 5 of them, something like that, as example of your work, of your research progress, right? For the presentation, And you can leave the rest of it after the thank you. After the thank you, you can make the rest of the slide because you do not have enough time to present all your findings. So you're going to highlight your key findings, and the analysis. So let's reframe this into key findings and analysis. So you can have 9 key findings and analysis, right? 9 groups of key findings and analysis, but in your presentation, you will tell the committee that you will explain 3. But if the committee is interested to know more, we can discuss it during the question and answer time. So you are prepared to present it. Right? That goes for all of you, by the way, as well. Right? That goes for all of you. Because we have limited time, and you have a whole masters and whole PhD to present. You cannot do that. Right? You can only have and during the Bible it's even worse. We have like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And to present the whole PhD or master's, the whole thesis in 10, 15 minutes, it's impossible. So you got to know, what to highlight. Okay, Mansa? So you reframe it to key findings and analysis. Alright? Okay. I think you know what to do. You know where to find the literature or the data, the source. So, for example, the prayer, you take the actual prayer, and then you show this prayer. What is deduced from this prayer? What is the ontological deduction from this prayer? Remember, you're talking about social ontological philosophy, right? So, what is the ontological deduction from this prayer? I'm using the word ontology because I understand the word ontology. There might be a different word for hermeneutics, I do not know. So you need to take note of that as well. I'm giving, ontology is a general word that philosophy uses. Ontology, epistemology, there's a general word for philosophy. So you choose from these key findings which one do you want to highlight more, right? I think the chemistry of successful leaders you want to highlight because you have a model in your research question number 3. So you want to show in the tariqat there is literature on the chemistry of successful leaders, right? Which a lot of tariqat does not have, by the way. Right? So it's almost like a how-to here, right? So you get that point, right? Yeah. So you can say key finding and analysis 1, ontological comprehensiveness, or something like that. Key findings and analysis 2, prayer. But you cannot just say prayer. You want to say what is your ontological deduction about prayer? What is the conclusion? What do you want to say about prayer? Yeah. But you want to show the data, and yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, you got that one? Okay, that will revamp the work, and remember to keep it in slide form and to elaborate. It's important to elaborate, and this is not keyword for you, it's a keyword for the audience, meaning the assessors. They need to understand best. What do you mean by best? Prayers, what do you mean by prayers? What is so? What is so? But you have your essence of tranquil living. That's an explanation. So you are communicating to the assessor. All right. Then you have the next slide, which is about TMA implementation. Here I need to think about it a bit. Your TMA implementation is the actual dua, right? The actual litany, the actual prayers, right? Okay. How is this separate from the earlier findings? How is this different or separate from the slide, from the previous slide? Okay. Okay. Therefore, all right. Therefore, you can actually, what you want to do is, uh, in your presentation, right? This is the actual prayer, right? This is the actual prayer. This is the actual prayer. The actual prayer is written in 8 books or 8 sets of literature. Am I right? Okay. Okay. So this should be the sources of data. The sources of data is coming from these 8 pieces of literature, right? But you also have more than that. Am I right? For sources of data, you have just now the magnum opus too. Uh-huh. All right, all right. Okay, okay. But the magnum opus also has discussion of the conversation between Prophet Muhammad and Prophet Khidir. It's in there too. Okay, all right, all right. Okay. So now what you want to do is to present this first before the key findings and analysis. Present this first. You just have a brief, yeah, very key. Remember, one slide, 3 minutes as a guide. Very brief description of these 8 things, 8 components of the litany. Right? And this one should come first. Right? And then the analysis. The analysis is your previous slide, remember. And you do not want to spend too much time on explaining these 8 things, because these 8 things, once you explain, now if you explain 1 minute, it will be 8 minutes here. If you go 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there, this one becomes 10 minutes. So, have a brief description, key to success, what is it? Some keyword. This is what? Lot, breadth, right? By the way, yeah, but you want to check the grammar as well. Invisible fortresses, meaning there are many more than one fortress. So, by the way, WIP? Oh, okay. So, I don't know what you mean by work in progress. What do you mean by work in progress? You're still analyzing spiritual deep. That's what you mean. Right? Okay. Correct. Good. Okay. So in your presentation, you have this one are your the raw litany, the dua, the actual literature, the actual litany is divided into this. So this is your source of data. So you present it first, and you present the findings and analysis following this one. Okay? Yeah. I don't know whether you want to call it implementation, but go ahead, you want to describe this implementation, because I know you're thinking as from a managerial point of view. We are not doing a managerial, we are doing analysis of the litany. We're doing, so this one is this is like the raw data, right? This is the raw data. Yeah, this is the raw data. All the litany, all the prayers. These are all the prayers. So you're analyzing the prayers. So first, this is the findings from the prayers, the literature you're using. This is the literature, sources of data. You put it up the beginning, then the second one. I don't know whether you call it TMA implementation, maybe another word. Implementation sounds, I'm not sure. I think it should be litany or something, right? The words they use, the words that tarikat use, implementation, kan? They use the word implementation. Doa, right? Doa, right? Doa, right? Yeah, because he said that my tarikat is a tarikat doa. Am I right? Yeah. Yeah. It's a tarikat doa and it's what's that? Okay. So put it up there, litany, and put this one first before the findings. Findings and analysis. Okay? Yes. Yeah. Because philosophy is actually your finding. This one is not your finding. This one is already there. You did not find this, it's already there. This is the sources of your data. The sources of the litany. It's not findings. Right? So omit the word findings there. It's not findings. It's your the sources of data, the literature to be analyzed about the TMA literature, the TMA literature slash litany, right? Findings is something that we found, So the findings come after that. Findings and analysis come after that. Okay. Now let's look at the next one, the next slide after that one, the next before that. It's the centuries. There's a lag. Huh? Yeah, they told me it's strong enough. It's not.
No.
Huh? Like mine, they try my laptop. Okay, is this the slide right after
Yeah.
the TMA implementation? Okay. Azhar Selawat. You went straight to RO3, research objective number 3, or is that? Okay. This one, okay, okay, okay. RO3, the research objective number 3, or asking 3 applicable question objective, tapi it's alright, there's no problem with it. The 7 levels of spiritual self, where is this coming from? Okay, and you did not note it in the earlier on just now, right? So, in your research methodology, you got to list all the literature that you want to analyze. Now, hook like that. Okay, right? Okay. So, you want to say, that's where the scope of literature comes in. That's based on this one. Where is this? Where is this coming from? Seven. Is this? All right. He mentions. He mentions this clearly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. It's not your deduction. It's not your conclusion. So let me go back to your research question. Let's go to RO3, whatever. 3. What's the research question number 3? What is the ontological philosophy of TMA leadership model? Okay, let's go back to so okay, tell me what's the connection with this RO3 here and leadership model here. What is the connection? Hmm. Okay. All right. Okay. Al-Quran. Sir. Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. This is the all the nafsu lah. This is nafsu kan, nafsu mutmainah, nafsu marah. Oh, okay, okay. This is Imam Ghazali as well, right? Okay, okay, okay. Which is part of your sample, right? It's not outside of your sample. They are all part of your sample, part of your sources of data, right? From your sources of data, not outside. No outside. Good, good, okay. All right. Okay. Okay, yes, 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 yes. All right, okay. Yeah, it doesn't deviate from Quran and Hadith. Okay. Right, from Muhammadiyah, okay. So, no. Before you explain, I'm trying to get, I'm getting to the essence of the research questions as well as what you're doing for research question number 3, because you're interested to develop the leadership model, right? The leadership model and to show how it is corresponding to that one. Okay. The issue right now is that this leadership model is not a leadership model of Tariqah Muhammadiyah Ahmadiyah. It's a leadership model, the seven stages of self-development is not developed by Tariqah Muhammadiyah. No, the seven is not you. Seven is an established, it's an established group. Okay, so you are actually looking at Tariqah Muhammadiyah Ahmadiyah on how they fit into the 7 Sufi self-development model. Right? Okay. Okay. Okay, uh, so this is a bit, we need to have clarity of research question, clarity of research objective, right? Uh, clarity methodology as well. This tariqah, does it prescribe specifically the 7 stages? It doesn't, right? Okay. It doesn't. However, okay. No, yes. Yeah. Yes, I understand. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand. Okay. Okay. You come back to me on that one because I have some clarity that I need to convey. Otherwise, I get clouded again. I need to convey this clarity. I need to convey this clarity. Otherwise, I get clouded again by overwhelming information. The clarity you want to arrive at is this. You're fitting Tariqat Muhammadiyah's litany into the 7 established stages of Sufi self-development model or Sufi self-leadership model. Right, okay. Okay, all right. I want to understand that first. Okay. So, your research objective then, can we go back to research question, research objective? Because this is important. Okay. Okay, go down again. Thank you. What is the ontological social philosophy of TMA leadership model? Yeah, this is the research question, by the way. The research question must all have question mark. So, the question is how, if you want to do what you are doing right now, the question should be, how does Tariqat Muhammadiyah fit into the Sufi self-leadership model? Mirza, hear that? How does Tariqat Muhammadiyah fit into the Sufi self-leadership model? Right. That should be the question. Right. Okay. Now, going back to the discussion you were having just now, okay, and the analysis you're having just now. Yeah, go back to the previous. Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Going back to this one, in Tariqat Muhammadiyah leadership model, right? You found that this is your finding. You found that the Tariqat prescribed reciting Quran at all levels. Am I right? The Tariqat prescribed reciting Quran for all levels of self-development, of self-leadership. Am I right? The audio is bad, yeah. The audio is bad. Hold on, yeah. Hold on. Hanif and Raji are resolving this audio problem. There's a new system here. So,
Speaker.
okay, can you hear me better now?
Ah, yeah, better.
Faizal?
Yes, better.
Can you hear me better now?
Better. Crystal clear. I don't know what
Eugene, can you remove the black matter
Admin says.
from the phone? Can you hear me better? Hello?
Better. Yeah, better.
Yeah, better.
Better. Okay.
Test. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Practice 1, 2, 3. Practice 1, 2, 3. Practice 1, 2, 3. Okay. Practice 1, 2. Thank you. Practice 1, 2, 3. Test. You should capture your voice first. Hello. Okay, you can hear now, Amanda? Clearer. Okay. Stop me when it's not clear, when it's coming together and finding out which. There are too many mics here. I think. Clearer, okay, good. All right. Where were we just now? Okay, so we are talking about the prescription of Tariqat Muhammadiyah for self-development that fits into the model of self-leadership or leadership model of established Sufi discourse, right? So, Tariqat Muhammadiyah prescribes reciting of Quran for all stages of self-leadership, self-development, right? Yeah? Okay, and this is your deduction from your deduction from the literature, right? Yeah? Okay, and you need to justify this, Amanda. You need to justify this. So, Tariqat Muhammadiyah also prescribe studying hadith for all stages of self-development. Right, yeah, okay, you will need to justify that too. All right, okay. So, you are actually, in your research question number 3 or research objective number 3, it is not, it's not the way you phrase it. You need to rephrase it to say, how does Tariqat Muhammadiyah fit, connect, or use other words you want, with the Sufi leadership model, with the Sufi self-development model, whatever you call it, with Sufi leadership model. Here it's actually self-leadership here, we learn. Not quite transitional leadership, because we don't talk about health, financing, human resource, right? Self-leadership, right? Yeah, okay. So that is an important point to note about your research objective. This is not quite Tariqat Muhammadiyah per se. It's a Tariqat Muhammadiyah prescription vis-a-vis the model that's existing in the Sufi literature. Okay, that's one. Another thing you were saying just now, the Tariqat also highlights or asserts that one should not do certain practices, or litany before one is ready. So basically, you should not do flying kicks before you know how to fight. Right? Yeah, you should not do flying kicks yet. Right? You should not basically like that. Okay. Okay. So in Wing Chun, you learn the punches before you learn the leg movement. Right? Okay. Right. So you need to elaborate on that in this leadership model, and then the other part you also talk about, there are many lineages, there are many schools of thought or not many, there are several schools of thought in the tariqat. So, hmm, okay, all right, okay. That's a good thing, that's not a bad thing. Now, this is where you refer back to hermeneutics. But hermeneutics talks about the text, the context, and the authors and all that. The text, the context, the interpretation. So, you go to hermeneutics, what does hermeneutics say about this? When there's a text and a context, right? So it's actually a good thing. It can be a finding that you have, right? So you say you're drawing on the context. So what is the context? You got to bring in the methodology into the discussion. So if the method, sorry, if the methodology, right? Okay, understand that. Understand that. You told me that, but now we are doing methodology. You know, you do not run away from the methodology. So what does hermeneutics say? I think hermeneutics, there are different types of hermeneutics, right? But there's also text and context, right? It's not just one form of tafsir. The literary, there's also literary tafsir, there's also the context and all that. So hermeneutics is sophisticated. So you bring hermeneutics analysis here, right? And I remember if yes, context. Be careful here, because you do not want to run away from hermeneutics. I do not know what hermeneutics says. You can check what hermeneutics says. Does hermeneutics say based on the experience of the interpreter, or you got to analyze. Don't just say yes, you got to go to the reference of it. Be specific about methodology. Methodology is where it helps you or it hurts you. So you go to methodology. Remember at the beginning, I asked you to analyze about hermeneutics. You said about six different hermeneutics. One is very literal, the other one is very literal, right? The literally say whatever, and you stick to the literal definition. Liberal say, I interpret it the way I want to interpret it, and I'm, dress modest, whatever. Okay. So go back to the text and go back to hermeneutics. By the way, if the hermeneutics that you're adopting requires you to look at the context, therefore, this is important for you to know, Rizal. Therefore, the sources of data must reflect the requirement of hermeneutics in that sense. Which means, if the sources of data is coming from, or partly coming from, the context, then you got to put in the context. How are you describing the context? Right? In the data, in your data analysis. So, for instance, right, I do not know specifically which hermeneutics tradition you're following. For instance, the hermeneutics says that you need to understand the text within the social context. What's that? The social context consists of the religious practitioners. So, in your write-up of sampling, you will need to say that you are also collecting data about religious practices. So it's not just text, it's also practices. So, Masa you clear about that? Yeah, yeah. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, that's actually a good thing. That is actually a good thing. That could be a good finding. That's a good finding there. Because it's not in the literature, it's not, somebody has not written about that yet, but you are capturing the Nusantara phenomenon of Tariqat Muhammadiyah. So they are saying, so in your analysis later on, you say there are three phenomena or three whatever that's been practiced in Nusantara with reference to Malaysia, but Nusantara is very big, right? In reference to Malaysia. But if you can capture more, go ahead. I do not know what is the scope. This is where we talk about scope again. This is scope. What is geographical scope? What is your geographical scope? If your geographical scope is just the semenanjung tanah Melayu, it's only the Peninsula Malaysia, we say it's Peninsula. But if your scope is bigger than Peninsula because you have listened to webinar and whatever else, then you can expand the scope. So this is where we are talking about scope. Okay, you have that clarity. Clear, okay. Which is actually a good thing. This could be a good phenomenon, a good contribution to knowledge because you're capturing the Tariqat Muhammadiyah that is being practiced or interpreted in different ways as well. And so all the while, my understanding, Tariqat Muhammadiyah, you do not have to refer to the Sheikh. It's a self-developed, self-directed. No. Oh, that's not okay. Yeah, well, yeah. What particular name? Okay. Uh-huh. Mulada, okay. Okay, that's one. The one that I understand that you direct yourself. You have done so much, you have reached a certain, you have fulfilled so much, and then you say, okay, now you already have done berapa kali yang bayar Allah Muhammad SAW? 100,000 times. 7,000 times, yeah, okay. And then you move on to the next one, so you self-directed. So there's another lineage. Okay. Okay, so this takes away the self-directedness of Tariqat Muhammadiyah. So in your discussion, you can offer a critique of Tariqat Muhammadiyah, which is a beautiful thing. Otherwise, there is no critique. Is that, yeah, I mean, otherwise, otherwise it becomes a promotion. There's no critical analysis, right? So, so this is where I was concerned with those people who want to believe in, like Muzaki was talking about Universitas Muhammadiyah, because I know Muzaki is part of Muhammadiyah organization, so it's important to offer critical analysis as well. Otherwise, it just sounds like you're preaching. So it's good to have a critical analysis. Okay, you certify, that's right, certify, yes. Right? Okay, Riza. Okay. Now the task is for you to practice to keep it within 20 to 30 minutes time frame, right? General rule of thumb, minutes per slide, but you can have more in one particular slide, but you practice it within 20 to 30 minutes per slide. So general thumb, if it's 3 minutes per slide, would be maximum 10 slides. Now you can have more, put it after thank you. Okay. So that's the, you can say I can explain more. If you have question, I have it after thank you. So, alright. So you do all those things, inshallah, you're ready for the presentation to the committee. What's the last two slides again? Because we went to research object and number 3, say where? I don't want to know. Okay. Okay, so R1 is manufactured risk, R2 is natural risk. Is that so? No? Okay. Okay. Oh, by the way, Wendell, is there a reason you use the word manufactured risk and natural risk? Yeah, okay. Because it's a sociological term. So you need to bring in the discussion of manufactured risk and natural risk. Because right now, a lot of manufactured risk are occurring. Basically, buatan manusia now, we are creating our own risk. We are creating our own problem. But these are terms that are you will need to bring back later on in the discussion. Okay, Reza? In the discussion, manufactured risk and natural risk. So, what does it do? The tariqat bring a consciousness to the people that there are things that are out of your control. There are things that are within your control or within humanity's control. So manufactured risk is within humanity's control. Natural risk like meteor and all that are outside of humanity's control. So whatever it is, with the dua, which is the weapons of mu'min, the divine can protect you against manufactured risk and natural risk. So remember that part of my points now. So you can bring that into the discussion at the back, of making it much more sociological or social scientific. Otherwise, it becomes too theological without the social scientific element. Right? I mean, one of the big things in our reality now is the climate change, and we talk about climate change from both natural and manufactured risk, your point of view. The other part of your work is about the polysemy. Huh? Polysemy. Okay, then if you bring that in, you will want to elaborate that as well, right? Because we talk about blindness and you're interpreting blindness from not having a vision and not seeing risks. That's also blind. So you want to bring that discussion as well, and how do you integrate that as a secondary methodology into your primary methodology, which is hermeneutics. You want to have that discussion. Then only you can say, well, kursi means chair, kursi also means apa tadi? Kursi also? Oh, kursi also means knowledge. So then you want to bring that part of the methodological discussion into your chapter 3, research methodology. Right? Then only you can use it. But be consistent to your primary methodology, which is hermeneutics. Okay, Roja? Okay, welcome. This is more than 2 hours. I'm like almost 12 now. Okay. Okay, all right, okay, yeah. Okay, but yes, yes. So aim to have the presentation, uh, aim to have the presentation within this 1 month. Yeah. First, you got to present to me, and then you got to present to the. Yeah, but you got to track your deadline. You know, I don't track your deadline of candidature and all that. You got to track yourself with yeah, when is it due and is this your last semester and all that. So you got to track your yeah. All right, all right. Yeah, it's been too long now. Okay, 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 Mr. Right. Right. Yeah. Raja, Raja, okay, tak apa, tak apa, it's okay. Okay, tak apa. Come on, right. Right, right. Come on. Uh, who else is next? Woo, it's almost 7 o'clock now. No, I've got something to do. Eugene, ready? You have completed your slide. Well, you let me present. Imperfect presentation is better than no presentation.
But
Okay, we ready, Eugene? Yeah. Progress no matter how hard
不是啊，
有没有这个成绩嘛？我 I created my own 成绩。Okay. Not afraid of becoming like Yoda. Not afraid of slowness. Only afraid of stillness. Not Yoda, Confucius.
Gaucho. So it's like that. I don't know. Can I do that?
You're mumbling, you see what are you saying? I cannot understand.
Actually, it's having some problem how to transfer my PowerPoint.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe you can enter the WebEx. Can you enter WebEx from there?
WebEx and
Yeah.
email.
Can
I don't know.
Send the email to me.
again, sir.
Oh, send straight to picture that name then. That's just the way then.
Trying to.
Is it stable now? So the audio, you got the audio is, everyone, the audio is better now. Can you hear me? Pizarro, how's the kata? How's the kata? What problem is it? You have 1, 2, 3 right now. Oh yeah? It's okay. I told you should give him another term. So what? You're number 1, number 2, or number 3? Pizarro.
Never. Oh.
Oh, that's the people you talk to, you haven't talked to the people from Papua, Barat, you haven't talked to them, yeah. You haven't talked to people from Bali, you haven't talked to people from Parapat. Right.
Central Java.
Central
PDI.
You know, in Indonesia,
Yeah.
they specify, they have a whole event to label the candidate number one, candidates number two, candidates number three. A whole event, a big crowd and all that. I was thinking, do we really need that? And to the point that you cannot, there's no more peace. If I do this, it means something else now.
Yeah.
Right.
If you pay, you mean it means you choose number two.
Yeah.
How about this?
This is number.
Two is this.
Okay.
What?
Samir.
No, come in.
I am here, but it's very noisy because we are noisy right now. Yeah, Jane, don't worry, as long as you can hear. Samir, are you ready to hear my feedback? Or
I don't
yes, Nani?
think it.
Okay, don't worry. Samir, stop driving first. Let Jane present first, and then I hear from you. Is that okay, Samir?
It's not even listening.
Hello, Samir.
Drive test, brother.
Samir,
It's not listening.
Drop into me, okay?
can you hear me, Samir?
It's not listening.
Go once more.
Samir.
Come here, it's gonna fall for it too long.
Okay. You wait. Samir, can you hear me? Not yet? Why is there's that thing there, that speaker? Samir. Yeah, nice. Samir, can you hear me? No. It's also dark. Look at that. Look at that picture there. Oh, because you think I can bring this up to them? Oh, now it's bright again. Okay, it's okay. That's you start with Eugene. That's Samir. That's Samir's son there. That's mini Samir.
Yes.
It's all right. You ready? Are you ready? What does it mean?
It means probably having to have to pay for.
That's why we need China. Really? We need China to
Russian hacker?
no, China come up with own software, new one, like alternative to Microsoft, alternative.
For it too.
This is where we need the communist revolution.
A revolution again, right?
Yeah, world revolution.
More.
Yes. To each according to need, from each according to ability. We are the South country now. We're still developing.
We started the country.
To each according to need, from each according to ability. So we need it. So some Bible wants to come in. Okay. All right, are we ready? The more advanced the technology, the more complicated.
That's anyway. I just need to put up some really change of my work and there. Just as it could be sure.
Okay, just let's do it. Present your. Okay, all right. Samir, can you hear me, Samir? Samir, can you hear me? Samir, can you hear me? Dubai, Qatar, Gaza.
Ya, Sami. summit sold.
Samir, can you hear me? Okay. Keep on driving, Samir. If he's driving, he should not be presenting. Okay. Ready? Okay. Bismillah. No, go. Go. Okay. How do you start in China? 请
不用那么客气。
不要那么客气。什么？请报告。请开始。Okay, start. Okay, please begin. 请开始。
Okay, actually, today we're just talking about kind of limited progress reports. So it's just going to be kind of explain the work of my future plan and a major change of my work. So actually, I used to be thinking about the cybercrime and the and now it's just going to be slightly changed into the impact on the digitalization and digital device to the influence to the disadvantaged social groups, especially for the elderly people. So actually, it's just about the situation the elderly people face when they just get to the cyber world. This kind of conflict which is really significant.
Rajesh, can you lower the fan? Thank you. I increase it in your place. Go ahead.
Okay. So.
No, I don't want to call the fan. Reduce the fan to low.
So actually, the keyword and the key concept we're just going to be a little bit changed. So for that, I already changed the cyber network, the data protection to the kind of keywords to the digital divide. That's the fourth generation. But and just because this kind of concept, these keywords have different types, have the history of the revolution of this research. So at the present, the fourth generation of the digital divide, which is not be well researched. So it's just about how to keep the people talking about to maintain the social justice for the DSG as the disadvantaged social group for get involved as the nowadays work and our modern life. So actually, it's just about the conflict between the acceleration of the digitalization, and as you can see, for the most of the world and globally, the government want to set up a kind of digitalization world to enhance, to increase the efficiency of the government, of the governance. So, and also it's just facing a globalization, and after the personal data have already been transferred, so it just may cause some risk for everyone. But it seems that the most important thing is for the DSG, they could have been left behind for this kind of process. So, actually, I would just want to focus on the inequity and the social justice about those DSGs. So, actually, for the phenomenon, not just phenomenon, just for the philosophy part, we're just going to continue Gudier's work to introduce the social capital and trying to transcript to today's work, or maybe another concept of digital capital as analyzations as a start for my analysis. Okay, please continue. So, as for the problem statement, and I don't know, it could be both problem statements or not, but I'm just going to be some sort of this stage. So for the first one is the chaotic state of the digital divide of DSGs. So at this part, we're just going to be some kind of an early stage investigate or characteristics. Would they be really be marginalized of this of our cell phone use lifestyles or yes, to investigate that. And the second one is just what caused this phenomenon. It just could be some kind of reason, lack of digital skills, and we think that mostly elderly generation will just not get involved into the cyber network from the early stage of their life. So maybe it could be some kind of according to their education level, some kind of from their age, or something else like that. So maybe the system was designed to be. So maybe the corporation, the government, when they start this kind of create this kind of digital system, they would just want to make sure these DSGs was just not inclusive in this kind of project or maybe this kind of system. So, or even if the DSGs, they themselves do stuff that they just choose to isolate it by their own will, kind of resist to this kind of digitalization and automatically or they just choose it by themselves. So there could be some kind of further research questions I have to answer. So, so for my perspective, for my experience, so I just counted this hypothesis, assuming that there is a collusion mechanism of this issue. This kind of collusion is just maybe the government, the big corporation, and the PhD themselves. We create, even the whole society, everyone involved in the whole society, we just create this kind of mechanism. Intense or not intense. So, and indeed, what can help the DSGs enhance their ability against the digital divide. So, just make how to use the public policy to maybe legislative remedies or NGO or NPOs for individuals' skills enhanced, or maybe social work. Oh, so next. So things Romani said one of your students choose the ground theory and be regret of it. I guess I will be the second one. So actually, the ground theory, which is going to be for the sample I choose, but I think before I choose one sample, that for the early stage of the research could be some kind of mass questionnaire investigate.
Yeah, no, theory without a lot of things. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah.
This is the last slide, right?
Yes.
So another slide.
This is the last slide.
This is the last slide. Okay, I think we keep break now. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to the first one. Was like, okay, this is a start. At least you're engaging into something that's written. There's a quote from a writer, I can't remember the writer's name, but he said that I do not know what I think until I write down my thoughts. So writing down your thought give you better clarity, a higher clarity of what your thoughts are writing across that list. So you have here cybercrime and the influence to the disadvantaged social group. So the important part that the group you're analyzing is the DSG, which is disadvantaged social group. Right? The elderly, you're focusing on the elderly.
Especially elderly, but I can do some kind of even widely range. Some kind of maybe widely range.
A wider range. Okay. Let's see your next slide. This is the kind of like you're so interested in cybercrime. Okay, what is this fourth generation digital divide? Fourth generation.
The fourth generation of the digital divide is just about the digital mobile. Yeah, the first maybe could be clearly when they talk about the first generation is just how they use the internet, they use the computer.
Okay.
Second was
Okay, all right. Okay.
the fourth is just mainly about how they use the smartphone.
Mobile gadgets.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the lack of understanding of how to use mobile technology. Mobile
Yes.
devices.
Yes, but I think this kind of definition could be expanded.
Okay. And then you're saying that the conflict between acceleration of digitalization and urbanization and inequality, social capital.
Yeah.
Okay, if you have a question right now, what is the question? What is the research question you have?
Research question is just about
What is the
excuse me, I have to think about
So something about disadvantage of the group.
That's the that's the research stuff like that.
Yeah, something about that.
Yeah.
So you're interested about it seems like you're also interested about social justice, inequality issue. There is to zoom in a bit about what your interests are. What about? It seems that you want to see how the technology is impacting the disadvantage of the group, right? So you're interested to see how cybercrime is impacting disadvantaged social group.
Yeah, I used to.
Is that what you're interested in?
Yeah. But I think you're talking about the impact or the kind of influence which is not going to be quite enough for my PhD.
Okay, the before you evaluate it, yeah, before you come to some kind of assessment whether it's enough or not, what would be a possible set of research questions? What is the main one? What you're interested in? Yeah, this is your PhD.
Yeah. Actually, I just wanted to.
What are you interested in?
And how and what kind of mechanism caused this kind of situation for these DSGs? Why they just been left behind?
Okay. What causes the digital divide?
Yeah.
Right?
Or
the DSG.
Yeah, or society or government system which isn't.
Yeah.
Mainly, so our goal, or we just want them to protect our society, to make sure that just move forward for the social welfare, for the goods. Actually, where they just.
We are interested to see the phenomena of digital divide among the disadvantaged social group, right?
Yeah.
What is the phenomena of digital divide among disadvantaged social group? And that is a working research question, right? Working one, huh? All right, let's zoom in a bit more.
Yep.
How is this, the societal crime is not necessarily the cause, it can be, it might be part of it.
Can be, but it just could be some kind of result.
Can be, right.
It just could be the result. Just because these DSGs, which is lack of digital capability, of digital skills, they don't be aware about what it can allow when we get to the internet.
All right, so what is the phenomena of digital divide among disadvantaged social group? Right.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of the things you want to study.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Let's zoom in further. Okay. Are you studying the whole of China? Scoping it now.
Global.
The scope in China. China is a very small country. Do you want to study China?
Okay, but as the literature review, I saw the research on like East European country and even in Thailand. But in Thailand, they would just use the third or second generation of social. They would just face on. There was a focus on Facebook.
Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just.
So we're going to study this as a global phenomenon.
Yeah, it could be just because Asian people is going to be like more widely said.
So you're studying the global phenomena of digital divide among the disadvantaged social.
So maybe I can change the research subject to
Where are you going to get the data from?
first we're just going to research and internet to crack in there.
The world. Alaska? Antarctica?
If they can get into the language activation,
If they understand your language.
then you think.
Botswana. There's a little country.
No, was one I can do it too. So maybe I just focus on Asia.
Okay, Asia is a very small continent, by the way.
I think it's going to be.
Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan. Tajikistan.
Tajikistan. Tajikistan. Turkmenistan.
You
Kazakhstan.
see the language barrier there?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So it's just going to be limited as the some kind of the English use and the Mandarin here. At least they can say
Asia.
yeah, and just because as the last semester the PI manager preparation, got visa to globally China is small.
Okay.
So if I just focus on China, so the data collection can be easy. Actually, you're just going to really like start China system. Actually, accessible.
China is
And I can understand that it's not going to be international.
yeah. That's it. When man is a joke, China is not a small country, China is a huge country.
But for countries, it just could be equal.
Okay. So you want to study more like that, probably come up with some problems of the state of digital divide.
Yeah. So if I just focus on the
Yeah.
it just means if we're just looking into the aging country, having large population of aging country. So that issue is pretty
I'm asking the scope is it has to do with the access to data, which is a fundamental issue in PhD research. What kind of access do you have to get to cover the scope that you, that's the question now. How and can you get access to the data? Yeah. And grounded theory is not just survey, but on grounded theory you are interacting with people very actively.
Yeah, that's the best. So I would just still have a worry about the mechanism. So if I choose a ground theory, it means now I have to do the early stage sample to find the unique and specific samples cases about it. I have to dive into it very deeply into it.
So grounded theory tends to be, the scope tends to be smaller, not big, for grounded theory, because you are developing very in-depth understanding of a particular phenomena or particular condition or you're studying the why.
Yeah.
Grounded theory is where you study the why.
Yeah.
Studying the why. So you want to see how the why is developed within a particular space, community. So identifying the space, identifying the community is actually crucial for you to carry out your research, accessing the data. So if you're thinking something as big as the globe or country, grounded theory is not recommended. So something, if you're talking about the country and all that, you're talking like secondary data analysis. What is it? You're talking survey tests, right? to get to the prime data. You can do secondary data analysis, but it is a different research, not that. So, but if you want to develop some kind of understanding, your own theory, right, or something, right, you will need to have survey, right? You can develop some kind of SEM, structured information modeling. So that is more statistical analysis. We are putting together variables from various sources. You can analyze that. So, the thing through it is not, I'm not saying that you should do this or that, but it is your research, but it's good that you have some clarity that you want to study the digital divide over disadvantaged social group. And this is where you want to think of an area or a space or group or people or culture that you want to be known as an expert. So what is it you want to, people think of Eugene, or you want to, oh, you go to Eugene, he's the expert in this area. So like, for instance, urban millennial males who are unemployed. Right?
Gen Z, or just Gen Z.
Gen Z, yeah. Gen Z. Right? What kind of digital, do they have digital divide, or what kind of challenges do they, what is the phenomenon of the digital life or digital challenges, the digital predicament, digital marginalization? Now, there are a lot of things you can study there, or digital justice, right? Of this urban, unemployed, male Gen Z. Male, it can be female, it can be gays.
Sorry.
Or, you know, it can be disadvantaged social group, a particular disadvantaged social group. So disadvantaged social group is a great way to think about this, because it might not be a conventional, the person with disability, right? It could be that particular group of single mothers. What is it? Migrant, the internal migrant workers.
Hopefully, Professor, can I just to engage the global and the local knowledge in this way? So maybe I'm just going to focus on what happens to China, or maybe even some parts of China. So when we talk about this aging or social divide and this kind of phenomenon, maybe we just can use some kind of globalization as the background. And just because the globalization is kind of like in the network now as a tool.
Yes.
And create this kind of globalization fact.
Yes.
So maybe this kind of social divide would be as a consequence of the globalization.
Yeah, the answer is yes.
I just draw this potential path to finish the dialogue.
So you want to see what's happening at the global level? You want to get secondary data, I suppose, right? Or you want to get...
No, I just use the local local questions, local experience, local evidence to want to show the globalization.
Oh yes. Oh, that's definitely possible. Yes, that's definitely possible. Yeah. So, and if that's the case, you see, globalization, or like the impact of the interaction of globalization. And then you want to find spaces where there's high penetration of globalization, right? Rather than low penetration of globalization basis. So you think about markets, you think about digital spaces where there's a very high penetration of global forces. So global forces can be economic global forces, cultural, political global forces. So there are different global technological forces as well. Like Facebook is definitely global, right? It's technological, but it's also cultural. TikTok, so we can talk about that. But that's one form of globalization, a very form. So yeah, you can. There's a one way to phrase it. So there's the global factors and trust and dynamics at work, national level policies and statements and whatever else. There's also community, cultural, there's also group-specific dynamics. If you talk about the elderly, they have certain characteristics or group dynamics that are going on there. We're talking about graduates, unemployed graduates. There's another. There's phenomena in China, in big cities in China, where in one house, in one apartment, there are 78 people living together, and only two of them working. The rest are graduates, but still work, kind of thing. In big cities like Beijing, when they are trying to go back home, they come from
that kind of phenomenon. Words to describe it, the drifting. Yeah, the drifting would just come. That concept would just come from the Chicago. It just makes you connect to land on local to the local, so that you cannot reach to the higher.
Yeah, true. And this phenomenon, even though people say it exists in Shanghai or Beijing, it might exist in other cities in the world too. Yeah. Because we capture a phenomenon well.
In Tokyo, in Kuala Lumpur, maybe Jakarta.
People who graduate, they don't want to work they don't want to become migrant workers who work in construction. Now they have different imagination of work. Right?
And just because they take the university education, and after that you being a bachelor, you don't want to be, and you want your pay. Fair enough. But fair enough, the idea is valued, which isn't told by the education. So, but actually, for some kind of reasons, the economic growth of this country was just going to be steady or just slow. It just means that it cannot provide enough opportunity for every graduate student for their research. So they would just stay in a big city, but waiting for their chance. And actually, after several years waiting, can find it.
So and they are very digitally connected. Very digital. And this is a phenomenon that scares the government because it's deprived, educated. They have middle class values. They are not the working. They're not the farmers.
They designed to be middle class.
They designed to be middle class.
Actually, the society don't have enough room for it.
Yes. And partly that explains why China is promoting the vocational school even more now. So, and they're doing the vocational school streaming much earlier, not at higher level forms.
So actually, the US study has a
yes, and you've been studying post-BS research. If you're researching on it. because Leah is studying the earlier part of this,
Yeah.
but you're studying the end part of this, which is where the problem is right now. But China is trying to solve the problem at the earlier part. China is training so that they don't go to university, they go to vocational school.
Yeah.
They cannot reach a certain level. At the beginning, they go to vocational.
Even in the university, they were just trying to help the students to start their own business. They were using this kind of.
The entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And this issue of unemployed graduates is being studied, there are write-ups about this. This economist, I was reading about it, a report about this. The youth is becoming a problem for China. And not just China, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of other countries. And we are promising them social mobility, giving them technology, they are connected, they have middle class values, middle class, which is not wrong, right?
Not wrong. It could be seen as an opportunity for everyone to get it.
And then they're connected to the globalization.
Yeah. But due to the globalization,
Yes.
the economy is sometimes just going to be very fragile.
Yes. So this is a fascinating area to look into. And sometimes, what is it? People don't see them as a disadvantage, right? There are people don't see that, especially you graduate, right? You're men, you're young, you have energy, you can work. What's your problem, man? Right? And by the way, some of you, your parents paid for your education, right?
Yeah.
Right? And so what's your problem? And by the way, but there are socially marginalized by the system, so to say. Right?
Yes.
Because the system promises them something else.
The system promised them for a future.
Yes.
Actually, they don't get it.
They don't get it. And this is the dilemma of modern society, developed economy. And you wait for this one to escalate, it can become really huge problem. Social problem, political, whatever. And this is like I said, the disadvantaged social group often doesn't include this group of people. The men, the boys, the young men,
Yes.
they're healthy, they graduate.
Traditionally, they didn't consider them.
No.
That they actually cannot be the expert. Actually,
They are.
and they were just inclusive in the
Yes. And now, when people talk about SDG and all that, they often forget the boys. They talk about gender equality, they usually affirm the females, right? They shouldn't talk about boy empowerment, men empowerment. No, that's not language.
Women involved.
Women empowerment, yes, but not boys empowerment. Right? But this group of people, youth, unemployed, educated, digitally connected, globally aware. Oh, yeah, it's a powerful group. And you let them alone now. They'll start doing. They start watching Andrew Tate's videos. You know Andrew Tate? Yeah, you know Andrew Tate? No. And then they become very, whatever you want to call them, just an interesting phenomenon. There's also Andrew Tate Malaysian version, you should see the Adli apa. I bet there's some version in Indonesian Andrew Tate version too, because there's a big appeal by this group of people. Okay, I think what I like you to engage in is connecting passion, purpose, and that scholarly inquiry. The social scientific inquiry must connect, connect to your own passion, where you feel like, something there, and some purpose that leads to some higher calling. Right? I feel the understands that then it becomes meaningful. Yeah, and meaningful. But you cannot rely on just motivation to continue.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. You so start rethinking about. Yeah. Do you have any questions before I move on to the next? To Samir, if Samir is ready.
Ready?
No, yeah, I'm asking. You have any questions or you want to discuss anything? No, okay, all right. Yeah. So you can problematize on the DSG. Yeah. Problematize on the DSG. How DSG is being constructed, and maybe there is vacuum in the concept of DSG alone is a vacuum. There's a vacuum in there. Just like Dr. Wong Teng Ang, Dr. Wong was there. He problematizes CSR. Because CSR looked at corporates. They don't look at wet markets. Wet markets and a fish market, right? People don't talk about CSR and fish market, but fish market has a social responsibility role.
Yeah, so the fish market is just not going to be central.
No.
Something like the market.
Yeah.
It could be some kind of organized corporation.
So this is what we call conceptual vacuum. There's a vacuum in the concept. Not theoretical, conceptual vacuum. So the CSR, there's a vacuum in CSR concept. So you say this. There's a vacuum in the DSC concept. For instance, if you want to look at that, they forget or they have a blind spot. The blind spot, the gap, that is the gap. Right? Just like migration has a vacuum, the gap, which is the perantau vacuum. I'm doing collaborating on a quarterly with one expert in perantau. He actually did not use the word perantau, but his research on perantau is a Minang and all that. So I just perantau in Jogja lagi. The Minang perantau in Jogja, which I thought is very interesting, right? And he doesn't use the word perantau. It's so hard to describe migrants. My migrants, they're not quite migrants, do you describe, migrants give you a different feel.
Yeah,
different meaning, right?
Perantau is
Different meaning. If we or Minang go to Jogja, they are memang perantau. Or the Jogja goes to Bandung to work, they memang perantau. But migrant is like, okay. Okay.
Migrant is only a common definition. If we define with perantau, it allows us to look from the perspective of culture. Minang.
Especially when Minang.
Yeah.
It's like in the blood.
It's like the blood.
The blood becomes
Institutionalized.
institutionalized more. Yeah. It's in the life rites of passage. When I say you got to introduce the word the word perantau in merantau. So sometimes there's this gap in the concept, the construct. Okay. Samir, are you ready to listen to what I like to share with you? Samir, are you there?
Listening.
He's not listening. We call it there. Are you here? Okay. Samir, I have some input for your improve your presentation. Improve your thesis. Okay. Take note of what you want to say, but if you miss anything, you can always listen back to what I said. But you can have a discussion with me. It will not take long, but you need to pay attention. Yeah. Okay. All right. Some of these points you already know because the evaluators, Dr. Asmir and Dr. Fabrian did mention all this to you, but I want to recap what I remember from the comments and my own take, my own inputs to what they have commented, right? Because some comments I think are very important. Some comments might be a bit confusing, right? And might not be too relevant to your thesis. Okay. Number one, why Saudi, Egypt, and Jordan? So you must answer that question, right? So why do you choose Saudi, Egypt, and Jordan? Okay, I think that's not difficult to answer. You can answer that one. Why do you choose all these countries, right? Uh, have an explanation there. So there must be some kind of empirical justification, not just he used the word empirical justification. Uh, so why do you use meaning historical justification? Historical. So like Egypt has this connection with US, you know, Egypt has gone through from Mubarak to Al-Sisi, no, Mubarak to, what's his name? What's his name? No? Sisi, before Sisi. After Mubarak, who's after Mubarak? Morsi, yes, yes. So, so a bit of, so when in your methodology or in your chapter 2, you talk about choosing Masir, choosing Egypt, give a bit of a background of Egypt, you know, so that, you know, yeah, and you justify why you choose Egypt. So same for Jordan, same for Saudi, right? By the way, all these three countries have a strong connection with America, with US, right? Right? Okay, anyway, give your justification there. The second part, which is the one that the second comment is a comment that gives you more work, right? The second comment, this is the second point. The second point, uh, have an overall analysis, not just up and down. So we talk about after BRI, the Belt and Road Initiative. There's a tendency of proximity to go up or to go down, really to go up. But what the inputs, the comments from them was about in what areas they go up. So when you do analysis of the voting patterns, with the voting in United Nations, in what areas they come together, where the proximity actually go up. So this is work for you, Samir. So you got to, you Tasmia, economic sanctions, against Israel, right? Yes, it is difficult. It is a lot of work, a lot of work, a lot of work. And then, but this, yeah, yeah. So the point they raise is not to see just proximity goes up and goes down. You want to see goes up in what areas they go up as far as voting is concerned, right? I'm just going to tell you first, then we can discuss it further. And then third point that I noted down, what is the significance of this political proximity? What is the significance of this political proximity? Why do we need to study political proximity? Somebody, oh, Alif is coming, Haraji is coming. Why do we want to study political proximity? So what's the significance of political proximity? Point number 3. Point number 4, Samir. What are your sources of data? What is your sources of data? You talk about diplomatic visits. Is your sources of data coming from newspapers? Is it coming from the websites? Is it coming from certain reports, written reports? So you just need to show what your sources of data is. I think that's not, you have your sources of data, you just need to, yeah, yeah. And then also to be in your data, it's not just head of state visits, it's also ministerial visit, the ministry from one ministry to another ministry, right? Like from Chinese Ministry of Tourism to Jordanian Ministry of Tourism, also things like that. So, and then how do you know about this? What sources? That's point number 4. Okay, so those are the four points. Another set from Dr. February. Dr. February is concerned about analyzed data, right? He is concerned about analyzed data, which is secondary data. Now, this is not a problem that you have. What you need to do is to show that in methodology you can use secondary data. You're using secondary data as quantitative data. Right? So what you want to do is to go to books or journals that say you can use secondary data for your quantitative analysis. You get what I mean? Right? Because Dr. February was concerned that you're using analyzed data that has been analyzed, right? Because the state visit, voting patterns, voting in United Nations, those are data that has been analyzed and put on the website, on internet, right? He's concerned that you're not having primary data, you're using secondary data. He's concerned about it. Yeah, he's concerned that you're using secondary data. Now, he is a qualitative researcher, so he might not fully understand about quantitative research, and he might not fully understand about mixed research strategy, right? Because you're using mixed research strategy, quantitative and then qualitative. It's called explanatory research, right? So what you want to do, Samir, is to get references, to get what people say. You can references that support your method, that you can use secondary data that's from the internet, right? So you just want to do that, and that will be fine for mixed method, right? Because especially explanatory mixed method, because your main research is about the qualitative, explaining the quantitative. Your interview is going to explain the quantitative, the numbers, right? So okay. Yeah. And the final one, not many, right? As I told you, it's not many. The final point that was raised, right, is why does this go up and why does this go down, right? By the way, the why is found from the qualitative research. They have not done qualitative research, so that's why they might not understand fully this sequential research method, which is fine. So the point that I want to connect to you, this is part why, right? So in presentation, especially in your Viva presentation, you will need to be able to cite, to quote, to use references from the literature to show that, according to Johnson and Smith, they say that you can do quantitative and then qualitative. According to James Bond, you can do this. This is how you answer in your presentation, right? Sometimes assessors, examiners do not understand. So you want to help examiners understand your methodology. Just like I told my brother just now, you got to help, you got to know your methodology and explain your methodology. Whenever the assessors, examiners might misunderstood or do not understand your methodology, right? So you use, you can use logic, you can use authority, or you can use, but you got to explain your methodology. Sometimes they do not understand. Because, yeah, okay. That's the main thing I want to tell you. So I think you have presented well in your findings presentation, right? So now it's actually doing your chapter 1, 2, and 3, and then while doing that, you also should pursue your interviews, right, together. While writing your chapters, you should also start doing your interviews. Now about that as well, right? This is what you're defending. When they ask you about your sample, you will want to be able to defend your sample. You want to be able to say, look, my sample consists of 30% example, 30%, 10 is from EO, 10 is from the academics, 10 is from business people, or 5 is from you. So it doesn't look like you are not ready. You're ready. You know your methods. You know your sampling. All right. So sometimes they look at that. They might think that you haven't thought about your methodology well, but you have actually done that. You have discussed it with me. You have presented that. We had this discussion before in our group supervision. Right? Remember, we come up with certain numbers for NGOs, whatever. But you have not interviewed them, but you identify, you have come up with a sampling frame. What is sampling frame, right? Of how many businessmen, how many you have that. So it's about defending your presentation. So that's what I have for you, Samir. Right? Okay. What time is it, Samir, over there? 8 a.m. Breakfast time. Yes. Hey, Samir, over here, there's a new Arab restaurant called Arab Street Food. New Arab restaurant in front of Kayu restaurant. New Arab restaurant. It's about 5-10 minutes from Yazan. So next time you come, you can go there. Yeah. Good. Inshallah. Yeah. All right. Okay, Samir. All right. Take care now. Yeah, I see Mini Samir just now in the car. Mini Samir. Mini. small Samir in the car. You see? I saw your daughter the other day. I saw your daughter just now. I saw your son playing. Your son, right? Mini person of you. Okay, Samir. Okay, any questions you have, you want to discuss with me? Not yet, or you want to go through your work, and then we can have follow-up discussion later on. Okay? Yeah, so continue point 14, McDonald's, Starbucks, Coca-Cola. You know, something drink Pepsi, drink Pepsi, eat KFC. Oh, KFC is one of the, okay. Or roti canai, nasi kandar, say. So we should internationalize nasi kandar, right?
Huh?
So, noodles. So, huh?
Gimana what kind of noodle?
Okay. The egg noodles.
Egg noodle prepare.
Okay. Okay, Sana. Right. Okay. All right, everyone. Join. Number 1, number 2, number 3, join.
Oh,
Okay, everyone. If there's no anything urgent, Kyla, you take care, yeah? Stay strong. Stay strong. You need to have a discussion. You can come and discuss with me. Chang, all right? And Pizarro. Joanne, don't forget to bring STMJ. When you go, you drink STMJ.
sakit itu.
Okay, oh, you have go. Oh, okay. Then drink soup buntut. Soup buntut.
Yeah,
Soup buntut lah.
what kind of soup?
Oxtail soup.
Oh.
But you don't use that word in Malaysia. It means something.
Huh?